Gospel of John is structured around a series of signs, like wedding in Cana of Galilee, or turning the water into wine, and different signs that all symbolize something of the messianic secret, what Jesus had come there to do. And in some ways, this washing of the feet that we celebrate, we remember on Maundy Thursday, is the last of these signs, in which Jesus enacts a very, very powerful, totally countercultural thing. And I don't want to go on, we've preached on this a number of times in the past about the power of Jesus' example here, in which really this was a job that a servant would do, a Gentile servant, a Jewish servant really wouldn't do this, and all these, this washing of feet, the men would all be lying on their side with low tables round in a circle with the feet poking outwards, and hot, smelly, dirty feet, and Jesus got up to wash them. And those of us who have watched the Chosen film and have maybe dipped into it and have been moved by the portrayal of Jesus in that series and his relationship with the disciples, when they get to this point, Jesus' charismatic and powerful portrayal in that series, you got a glimpse of the kind of person he was, a very commanding figure, not dominating. Jesus was not a dominating person, but a very commanding person who people respected and followed and really, really admired and were challenged by. And for somebody like him to wash the feet would have just been literally mind-blowing for them. And I have a lot of sympathy for Peter. You'll never wash my feet. I mean, Peter would have seen, and saying these words, Peter would have been expressing his loyalty to Jesus. I love you too much to let you wash my feet. He wasn't being difficult. Peter wasn't being proud. There'd be some pride in here, but I think Peter really, he's the kind of guy that just acted before he spoke, you know what I mean? He just kind of distanced and just blurted this out, what they were all thinking. And I've been really intrigued by this interaction because Jesus says to him, unless I wash you, you have no share with me. That's a pretty heavy sentence there. And there's something going on here about this symbol of feet washing, which is more than just about so that you can do like I've done to you and serve other people. I did one of the wonderful things about being in bishoprics, many wonderful things, is having wonderful clergy colleagues who are at the back. And we all share the same birthday, just to let you know that. John and Ian and I all share the same birthday. Not the same year, having said that, but the same 4th of July. We tried to plan a clergy get-together, and we made it a 4th of July. I said, well, I'm sorry, that's my birthday. And Ian said, that's my birthday too. And then John said, that's my birthday as well. So all 4 of us, 4th of July. But we also all work at the academy together. And the academy is a really important place with so many wonderful young people in bishoprics who go there and take their place in the world. And I had the privilege of working with the S5 and S6s and had the last assembly just must have been just a week past, in fact, just 2 weeks ago tomorrow, last Friday of term. And I was just, amongst what I was talking about, was some of the work I had done with Mother Teresa, but I was quoting Mother Teresa's famous line at her Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech in 1979, that room full of presidents and prime ministers and powerful people, where this wee lady said, among many other things, she said, we cannot all do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And that's the message I wanted these kids to go out into the world with. They couldn't all do great things, but they can do small things with great love. And this Maundy Third is a great example of that. Mother Teresa followed her Lord in doing that, in serving the poor. And we all celebrate the communion in different ways in our churches, and that's just wonderful. I love the diversity of that. But we all know it's important in some fashion, And at the heart of that, as we remember what Jesus did for us, is this thing that unless we allow him to do this for us, we can't be a part of him. There are some things that only Jesus can do for us. So part of it is serving other people, but part of it is remembering when we come together is also, but there's only something that he can do for us, and that is to forgive us. He is the only one who can allow us to come into God's presence, and that's what we remember with the communion. And the question for me, in many ways tonight, is have you made that complete decision about sin in your life? This is the end of what we call the penitential season. We've been wearing purple until now. And it's to remember our need to address our sins, the stuff that's not working in our lives, and to be honest with God about that. And to more than just restrain ourselves, or more than just to suppress our sins, and more than just to kind of counteract them by doing something good. It's more than that. We have to crucify them. We have to crucify our sins. I mean, there's a very powerful, when I was ordained, I chose for my verse, Galatians 2:21, which, as you know, says, I have been crucified with Christ. So I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. In other words, have I entered into that place? It's what we're reminded about on Maundy Thursday. It's only something Jesus can do for us, to be crucified with Christ, so that all that remains in my flesh and blood is his life. It's not my will, and that's a continual battle, that. But it's knowing that that is a battle that we all fight every day, and Maundy Thursday is a reminder of that. So are you or are we prepared to let the Spirit of God search us until we know what the level and nature of sin is in our life? This is a symbol of cleansing that Jesus was so radically enacting. Only he is the one who can cleanse us in a way that really gets to the root of what's going on in us. And our pride, essentially, at the end of the day, to see the very things that struggle against God's Spirit in us. What are the things this evening, this beautiful Thursday evening, and as you go from here later on, I challenge you before you go to bed tonight to really take some time, get a paper and pen out, and identify 4 or 5 things right this evening in your life current right now where you know it's a struggle with God, where you know it's hard to let him in and to let him have control of that area of your life. And that's a continually shifting thing. And that radical image of Jesus washing Peter's feet is what he wants to do to each one of us. And it's uncomfortable. It's unsettling. It's disturbing. But it's incredibly liberating and healing if we can just let him in. That balm of Gilead, that God of all consolation. Each one of us can know the God of consolation tonight. But we have to let him sometimes do a deep spiritual work in us before we find that consolation. He comes to each one of us this Maundy Thursday. And the service that he does is in like Philippians 2:1. And this is the thing that's really hit me this Holy Week. He does this because he's God, not in spite of being God. He humbles himself and becomes a servant. It's because he's God he does this. It's in his very nature to love us in this incredibly extravagant way. And I find that mind-blowing. Amen.